you're still needing DevOps. So DevOps is kind of meeting people from a IT strategy maturity standpoint. It really is something that is a common thread across all different types of companies, regardless of their progression in regards to their innovation. Hello, Rasul here with Data Talent Advisors with another weekly video covering a DevOps engineer, somebody we don't really think of when we're thinking about AI and a lot of the things with machine learning, things like that, but they are a very important piece to the whole infrastructure, to the whole environment that a lot of these people play in, if you will. So the DevOps engineer, very important role that's come to the forefront with the rise of cloud. A lot of companies were doing things on-prem in their own data centers. Sometimes they co-located their servers and put them somewhere else and were accessing it, which is kind of called co-location. It's kind of a form of cloud, if you will. We were calling it web hosting back in the day. But now cloud or infrastructure as a service provider is the terminology that's being used with a lot of companies. And really the ones that we come across in the States, the top three that have become quite prevalent would be AWS having the largest market share. After that, Azure from Microsoft, and then Google Cloud. And really what I wanted to kind of go over in today's video is just some of the different tasks that a DevOps engineer is tasked with as far as being able to do their job well, but really some of the areas also where AI could actually help them. So let's get right into it. As far as the DevOps engineer goes, it's a role that has been in demand for many, many years. And I actually was saying even last year, probably the hottest job on the planet. Like everybody has gone to the cloud or still on their way to the cloud, but it is the one job that whether you are a relatively advanced company technologically or one that's been kind of dragging your feet on a lot of this AI type stuff, you're still needing DevOps. So DevOps is kind of meeting people from a IT strategy maturity standpoint. It really is something that is a common thread across all different types of companies, regardless of their progression in regards to their innovation. So for the DevOps person, some of the essential understandings that they should have would be CI/CD is something that you see a lot and is associated with DevOps, and that is the continuous integration, continuous delivery of your products to the cloud. And what that basically means is if you're like a provider like Netflix or Airbnb or whoever, you're basically integrating new versions of your tool into the actual production environment without having to stop things. So just because you're going to do code fixes and things like that, you're not going to just shut down the website. You're actually able to do that, continuously integrate and deliver improvements, bug fixes, whatever it is. So CI/CD is part of the job as far as being a DevOps person. In addition to that, you should understand overall configuration management as it pertains to infrastructure as a service. There are other things like containers. More specifically, you will see that as Docker usually. Docker is like one of the main tools that people are using from a container standpoint. The IT operations and system management piece, there are some other companies that do that, but at the forefront right now is pretty much Splunk, a company that recently was acquired by Cisco Systems and has been in that space for a while. And I believe they have pretty much the largest market share as it pertains to IT operations and system management. Some of the other tools that you'll see on DevOps resumes or job descriptions that'll help with automation, Jenkins, Puppet, Chef, that kind of thing. They're all kind of in the same category. There are some new ones that have come about here and there, but at a high level, these are some of those tools. And then some of the other things that hiring managers ask for is scripting languages as well that you should be aware of. Really the number one, I think most people will agree, Python is very, very handy these days. And that's why when you're recruiting data engineers, some companies and some hiring managers want them to have somewhat of a DevOps experiences as well, kind of make it a dual role, if you will. And with those folks having a Python background, it kind of melds well with them getting into this role, but it may not be something that they want to do. But DevOps is kind of its own area of expertise. Now, the other thing that you'll see, some of the newer folks, the younger folks that are coming in, the juniors and mid-level, will have some of these tools listed, the infrastructure as a code and all that stuff. But some of the folks that have been around a while, like myself, like 20 years experience or so, they will also come up from areas like Linux administration, network administration, the actual infrastructure, the actual network and maybe even data center world to some extent. And they've over the years evolved. Okay. So one of the things that hiring managers want to see in that type scenario is to make sure that they're not so infrastructure hardware focused and they are actually doing things and they've made the jump into infrastructure as a code. That is kind of the big thing that they're always kind of testing for, to make sure that the person is good with code and is able to leave the actual on-prem data center world. Some of the other things, just like with any other job, their ability to collaborate, communication will be pretty big because they will be interfacing with data engineers, machine learning engineers, other developers, full stack developers, data scientists, because they are the folks that are creating the overall environment where everybody's working. So at a high level, that's a little bit about the DevOps engineer. Okay. Now, as far as the kind of tools that are out there, there's a number of AI-based tools that they can use. Some of the tedious things with the job is things like log analysis. There are awesome AI tools out there. You should research it. I don't want to necessarily plug anybody that I haven't used. I'm not a DevOps engineer, but there are many tools out there that will help you with that. And that's a very tedious job to look at the log files. The other areas that they should be aware of, it depends on the company, the size of the DevOps team and who's doing this, but resource allocation and cost management. Usually a DevOps manager may kind of handle some of this in a bigger DevOps team, but sometimes if you're, a team of 3 or 4, the actual engineers may be actually helping with this as well. So those are just some other areas. And there are some tools out there, AI tools that will help. There's also a number of different AI tools that do many of these functions that I just mentioned for the actual role itself, depending on how much of it that you're going to allow AI to help you with. Keep in mind, and I think everybody knows, especially the DevOps engineers, that context is something that AI still lacks. So human intervention is definitely needed on some of this stuff. This is your production. This is your product. So you have to kind of be on top of it and know what's going on. Especially the black box solutions that are out there for DevOps, I think is a total no-no from a security standpoint, and also just not knowing the inner workings of it, how you're going to actually fix things if things go wrong, because in a black box solution, you don't have access. But, I hope it's piqued your interest a little bit to maybe do some research to see what AI tools are out there to help make your job more productive as a DevOps engineer. And those of you that were not aware of what a DevOps engineer is all about, I hope this video has been helpful in giving you some background as far as some of the things that we do look for. So for this week's episode, I really thank you for your time. Make sure you hit the notifications button if you want to be informed of the next video that comes out. It does come out weekly. Make sure to hit the like if you did like the video and find this insightful. If you have any questions or anything, make sure you come to www.datatalentadvisors.com where we can assist you in other ways. And make sure you follow me and follow us on LinkedIn. And for this week's episode, I'm over and out of here. Thank you so much for your time.